All right, baby. It is WSME SM Enlightenment Radio. What's going on? I'm Great Doc P, and it's another edition of the Sunday Spotlight, or just the Spotlight. And each each week, whenever we do the Spotlight interviews, I like to interview someone who I feel is a definite person of interest, someone that I know that my audience is definitely going to dig. And, this spotlight is very special to me because this also happens to be an old friend of mine from way, way back. I mean, going
Man.
back to the whole beginnings of this whole SM thing. This is someone that has known the great Doc P before a lot of you that are watching this and seeing this. And hey, this brother here is he's more than just my friend. I mean, this guy is just a famous dude here. All right. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to bring to you, all right, a good friend of mine, my main man, all right, from back in the day. All right. But now he's doing big, big things. Big, big things. I'm talking about KJ Jones, staff writer, content producer for Motor Trend Truck Group. All right. And hey, he's a journalist, he's a racer. I mean, he's a mechanic. He's like build stuff, KJ Jones, my man.
Saying
What's
too
going
much,
on, bro?
You're saying too much, Doc P. You're saying too much, man.
You doing too much, man. You doing too much. That's what it is. You doing too much. So hey, but hey, welcome to the program, my man. And hey, just tell me a little something about KJ and where does your story start? Because I know, like back in the neighborhood, I always knew that you were into the cars,
Right.
but I never knew that that you were into the journalism and all of that stuff. So what were you always? When did the fascination with cars start? Where?
Man, well, first and foremost, man, I maintain this until I have my last breath in me, man. I'm just another cat from around the way. You know what I mean?
Right.
I appreciate all of the glorious intro that you gave me, man, but I'm still KJ no matter what, and that goes back to what you're asking. And day one for me, I don't know, maybe I was 2, 3, I don't know, but I believe that it really started when I was the first time I said the word car. The first time I said that 3-letter word, I was hooked.
Wow.
That it goes back that far. And through childhood, we started in Yonkers. Before I got up to the Elmsford Greenberg area, we were in Yonkers.
Okay.
And I do know that when we lived in Yonkers, I had your car, your more so trucks, your Tonka toys and all that. I mean, think about it like this, man. We're living in apartment 2C, and I got all this stuff to play with outside, But just making the little construction zones in the crib and playing with cars. It just matriculated, man, through the years as I got older.
Right.
It just was my thing, you know what I'm saying? And
Right.
it's kind of wild because, as if you will, where we're from, we're not the guys that play with cars a lot. You know what I'm saying? It's just facts, So I was really an anomaly because I did have my cars and my passion for automobiles, but also ran ball with everybody. You know what I'm saying? Played football,
Right.
you know what I mean? And did in a sense what we do. So just really followed things from a young age into the teen years and getting the license, of course, and then it really kind of took off from there, with putting my hands on them and actually knowing what automobiles were and mechanics and stuff like that.
So when did you first start working on cars? Like at what age? Like what?
I would have to say probably in the area like 10 or 11, man, because I had a go-kart, I had a motorized go-kart, and that was probably the first, car-ish type of thing with a motor on it, man, that I got down with. And tinkering on that, learning how to take the engine apart or basically get it running. Even if it wasn't running, figure out how to make it run and that kind of thing. And that was without books. It was just more so, and really crude tools. Take a pair of pliers, a screwdriver, a hammer, and get it done. And don't get it wrong. There was there was adult assistance where necessary. Shout out to Freddie Storm's Uncle Leon, who was everybody's Uncle Leon, who was kind of one of our guiding lights. You know what I mean? With riding mini bikes and playing with the go-karts and all that kind of stuff, man. So, that was probably the day one. And then again, getting licensed and being in school and being around some other cats that were about it, that's when the real formal mechanics started to come into play.
It's hilarious because I you was more into the cars, me as us growing up, me always into the music and stuff. But
Yes.
there was a time when I did try to put something together, brother. You know what I'm saying? I put together a little a bicycle. Me Phil Neesmith, from back in the day, where
Yeah.
we was building our own bicycles. You know what I'm saying? And
Uh-huh.
and we was getting different parts from different places and put my little thing together, and I was so proud of myself. Went up to the park and hit the curb, and the whole thing fell apart. I fell, I busted my nose. I was like, all right, well, maybe I just need to go and write some rhymes or something because
Right.
it's the cause just wasn't doing it for me. So after that, you went off to University of Pittsburgh.
Yes.
Okay. And okay, so now I know that you got a journalism degree or mass communications, right? Or
Communications,
degree.
yes.
Same thing like me. So why, if you were into the cars, like what was it about communications that attracted you?
This is the thing, man. It's in a sense the craziest story ever, man. I wanted to work in the automotive space. I wanted to be an engineer. Bottom line, I wanted to be a mechanical engineer with a concentration on automotive. I wanted to design engines. Excuse me.
Okay.
That was kind of the goal. And the thing about it was, I applied to different colleges for engineering, for mechanical engineering, and I was getting flagged off, man. I wasn't getting into school. Bottom line. And didn't really understand why. And I applied to the University of Pittsburgh's engineering program and also got flagged off, didn't get in, and it was like, wow, what's going on with this? But I went to Pitt to visit the school. And when I went to visit the school, I met with, I guess, an admissions counselor, and he told me what the deal was. For all these schools, I applied to GM's, General Motors Institute of Technology at the time, thinking, like, if I get on at this place, that's the ticket. I'm going to be designing Corvette engines at some point. But I did, but the gentleman, and I really wish I knew his name, but the young cat, man, he said, listen, KJ, the reason why you didn't get into Pitt engineering and the reason why you haven't gotten into an engineering school is this. Your math is horrible. You understand what I'm saying? Engineering is math, man. And while I had the hands from mechanics and working on engines and all that kind of thing, bottom line, 2 + 2 = 4. But when you started getting into all that other space age stuff, I wasn't about it. That's about it. That's the real facts of it.
Because at the end of the day, it is science, and science is all mathematics.
Yeah, and the bottom line is I didn't pay attention. I had every opportunity to get with it, but I didn't when I was in elementary, high school, etc. So what Pitt offered me was an opportunity to come to Pitt as a liberal arts or arts and sciences student, and the idea was come to Pitt as a CAS arts and sciences student, get your math up, then get into engineering school. And at that time, you're talking to somebody who's 17, 18 years old, and I'm like, nah, that's too much school, bro. You're talking about too much school, man. I got these 4 out of me in high school. I need 4 more.
Yeah.
What can we work with? And it really boiled down to what else did I have an interest in? And it was the radio. It was radio. And I said, well, communications is the curriculum for radio or broadcasting or whatever. And I went that route, I went that route, man. And
so were you on the radio, you as a DJ or talk show or
no. Well, with college radio, started at the bottom, and not to really downplay that type of position, but just doing like real quick news blurb or a weather spot or something like that, just really got more into the mechanics of the radio station versus focusing on being on air, if you will.
Right, right,
So, I took it and parlayed the way through starting. Did have a couple of on-air shots and slots or whatever have you, but eventually worked my way up to being a program manager and then the station manager. For I'm like, let me see how the administrative side is versus
right.
let's manage the people that are on the air and manage the budget and that kind of thing. And I did that and thought the radio was going to be my path, honestly. But you
So,
know,
so how do you get into writing?
the writing does double back to high school. Like I said, I wasn't very strong in math,
Right.
but we had a class, if you will. It was just this thing on Monday afternoons, my senior year, and it was just a composition deal. For 1 hour, you had, or maybe it was an hour and a half, but you had to sit in a room every Monday, and you were given a topic to write about, and you wrote a composition about the topic. And typically, the topics were something I had no interest in whatsoever, and I did okay. But when
Right.
we had the free topic, and I was able to write about a car, I was getting A's. It's amazing. It's true, man. It's amazing. If I was able to write about something I really knew and loved, I did very well in. So that's where the writing, I guess, came from, you know.
Right.
And
So
when I got out of college or through college, I wasn't able to write about cars then, but I did have, I guess you could say, writing chops. I did have the structure to put sentences together,
yeah,
man.
yeah, yeah. Which
That's,
is
that's
hey, that is an important thing because I mean, you were doing real, starting to do real journalism, but not before. Not be, and what's this is the interesting thing about your story. As I was checking you out, and all of the things that I didn't know about you is like you at some point you decide after graduating out of college and doing stuff, you decide to pick up and move to California. Like,
yeah. You did your intelligence, man. You did your research.
and you was married at that time.
No, I wasn't married at the
Okay,
time, but
okay,
I had met my now wife. I had met Crystal a few years before moving. I guess about 3 years before I actually picked up and moved. There she is. I met my sweetie here in California. She's a native Los Angelino, and I
okay,
was working for a company that gave me opportunity to come to Los Angeles, working on a project, and basically met her while I was out here working on the project, and then our connection fostered. And when it came time to, I guess, really get serious about things, the question arose, who's going to move? And she was ready to move to New York. And she actually has two brothers who lived in New York. One lived in the Bronx and one lived in Yonkers.
oh, okay.
Um, and
Wow.
she was ready to come New York way. But at that point, I kind of thought about where my life was, man, and what I was doing and what I wanted to do. And I also thought about a sister from LA coming to New York and that hawk coming across her and not being happy. And I said, no, no, no. You know something? It might be better for me to just come on out to California. And with that, earnestly make an effort to get into the automotive space professionally. And that's what happened.
Yeah, because New York ain't for everybody.
Man, no. You know what? After 25 years here, it ain't for me anymore either.
Ain't that something? That's why I'm in Rhode Island, but
You know?
but I'm still gonna support
Oh,
New York.
it's always home. Don't get it wrong. Don't get it wrong. Anybody listening? Nah. New York all damn day. But that hawk, no, sir.
So it's an interesting path because you get to California and then you start working at the at a dealership.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, because you're always nice with your hands with the cars anyway. So you
The,
know
the, the
by this
dealership.
by this point there ain't nothing that you can't fix. I would probably do,
Well, there were plenty of things I couldn't fix, man. But
right?
um, the dealership shot. I landed in LA. I landed in LA on July 13th, 1997.
Okay.
And me and Crystal were married on July 26th, 1997. I landed in LA without a job, without any kind of prospects or anything like that. But again, wanting to get into the card thing, just was hitting the paper and looked at dealership. And in the dealership service department, they had an opening for, a service advisor, basically. And I said, well, you know what? Let's give it a shot. And what had happened was the shop that I went to, that I eventually ended up working at, Galpin Lincoln Mercury, that shop was a bunch of guys like me. Everybody that worked in there had a little hot rod, had their little project car, and I rolled in there, and I'm the guy from New York with this hot Mustang, and da 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 da, and I guess you could say won the service manager and everybody else over because I got the job. And then, with that, things really started to get their legs and move forward.
KJ.
Yes, sir.
Why Mustangs?
I guess it was just an opportunistic thing, man. I had an opportunity to get into Mustangs before the movement started. If you remember my Grand Am, I got that car based on wanting to get a dealer brand new car. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I really wanted a Grand National, a Buick Grand National.
Remember the Grand National?
You remember the Grand National? Yeah. I wanted a Grand National, man. And I went to go get my dealer brand new car. I was working, making a little money. Yeah. And I went to Mark Buick in Yonkers, Tuckahoe Road, to go get my car. And because I had to order it, I wanted certain things. I didn't want to show a floor model. I had to order it, and we did the deal. And just as we were closing, the salesman said, "All right, Mr. Jones, it's going to take 16 weeks for your car to be built and delivered."
Wow.
Now, you're telling a 20-year-old that his car isn't coming for 16 weeks at the beginning of the summer. It's like, nah, bro. Nope. That's not going to work. I need wheels right now. You understand me? So I left there. I took my deal down, and I went to another place. And the other place had a 5-liter Mustang. It was red. It's sitting under the lights, beaming and gleaming and everything. Uh-huh. And the salesman said, "Well, what about this? This is an '86, this new 5-liter Mustang." And I promise you, I looked at it. I said, "What am I going to do with that?" I didn't know about them, man. They weren't on my radar.
So you didn't even.
I let it shine. I let it shine. It wasn't on my radar. I wanted a car. I was, upset, anxious. So I just went ahead and did a deal and got my Grand Am. So anyway, 1988, 2 years later comes, and my best friend bought a 5.0 Mustang, dealer brand new, and he took me for a ride. It was over.
And that was it, huh?
It was over. I said, this thing, I could have got this car 2 years ago, and I didn't have any clue that it was this kind of maniac.
So is the Mustang like the most powerful, one of the most powerful cars, or, I mean, in your opinion?
In its heyday, and we're talking about 86 to 93 Fox. They're called the Fox platform, 5-liter Mustangs, the original 5-liter Mustangs. In their heyday, they were pound for pound probably the toughest hot rod you could buy from a dealership. The price point was really, really low. You could get into a new 5-liter for about $14,000, at the time, maybe 15 tops for a loaded GT or something, but they weren't expensive, and based on their weight and based on the power output of the engine, they were tough guys, in the space versus your Camaros and Trans Ams and stuff like that, So they established themselves then, and now the new platform with the Coyote 5-liter engine, I mean, that's just a beast as Mustangs go. That's ridiculous.
Now, I was seeing in your bio that you're also drag racing, an avid drag racer.
Well, I've been an avid drag racer, man, from back in the day. That again goes back to
that go back to New York, like.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. That goes back to getting a license, man, and messing around with the cats who I did, mess around with in the car space. I don't know if I should name names. I might have to leave it alone there. But some people I'm thinking.
Hey, and I know, there was some spots that, that wasn't 100% legal where people was
right.
going and racing like Hunts Point and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
down there exactly. Yeah, the hutch. Yes, sir.
Yep,
Yeah,
the
man.
Huts. Oh man,
Yes, sir. So I go back to all of that as far as drag racing, and then the first time ever going to the track with my buddies. We just went down to the nationals down at Englishtown, and that was it. I was like,
Jersey.
"Forget it.
Yep.
This is it, man. This is it, literally." And then getting an opportunity to just pursue it myself. It just took off from there. When I realized, oh, I can do this, that's when it
Yeah.
really did.
Yeah. So how did you get into actually being a journalist, like writing about the cars, like in like these big magazines? Because I know you went it was Mustangs. Now
Right.
was this the first major gig that you had, or what came before this?
This was my first real magazine opportunity. Yes, I was working at the time. I moved from dealership to a company called Edmunds.com. Edmunds.com is an automotive info site, if you will, for people that are researching new and used cars. There's a bunch of reviews and car
Right.
data, etc. So I went from dealership to Edmunds, and while I was with Edmunds, one of my friends from actually back in New York or New Jersey, actually, a friend from the track who worked at Muscle Mustangs and Fast Forward magazine, Evan Smith, he contacted me and he said, look, I've got a project that needs to happen for the magazine. There's a car and parts in Los Angeles. I can't get out there, get anyone out there. Can you go and put the parts on and basically do the dyno test and write an article about it?
Wow.
And I thought about it and I said, well, I guess I can. That I had not done anything like that prior, but I gave it that shot, got a camera and took the photos and executed the project and submitted it. And long and behold, man, a few weeks later, I got a check.
Hey, how about this?
How about that?
And I get paid too.
Yeah. So it apparently, or it certainly was good enough for the magazine. And then from there, more opportunities to freelance came about, for Muscle Mustangs and Fast Forwards. After a while, I had been freelancing, I guess, for maybe a year. And I left Edmunds and was without a job. And someone who I had met through working at Muscle, or just through the Mustang hobby itself. And the internet was starting to develop itself with forums and such like that. So starting to meet people that way. And Steve Turner, who is the editor of 50 Mustang and Super Ford, that's on the banner there behind me. Steve Turner is the editor of 50, and bottom line is I sent out a blast email telling people I wasn't working. If there were other freelance opportunities, get in touch because I'm down for doing them and making some bread, But Steve contacted me and said, listen, what I'm interested in is having a West Coast guy, a guy in California, to go to the different drive events, to do tech and such from California. So there isn't any flying back and forth. That magazine was based in Tampa, Florida, So I became 50
like a correspondent out there in California.
in a sense, yeah, staff person on a Florida book. I'm the staff person in LA as the tech editor, and eventually moved up to senior tech. Yeah,
And you have an absolutely fascinating story, and we're gonna get even more into it, and then we got a bomb to drop on you folks because there's something that KJ is currently doing that we're also going to sink our teeth into a little bit. So, hey, we're going to bounce to a break real quick, and we're going to come back with more of the Spotlight with my main man, KJ Jones, right here on WSM Enlightenment Radio. Stick around, baby. WSMESM Enlightenment Radio. You're listening to the Spotlight. All right, great Doc P with you. And hey, we're here talking with my main man, KJ Jones, who is a staff writer, content producer for the Motortrend'S Truck Group. All right. And also getting into doing some reality TV kind of stuff, which is very exciting. And we're going to get into that some more. But, we're talking about the story here. And, as you were writing for the Muscle Mustangs magazine, so now how long were you doing that gig there?
Well, I got to fact check you now. I wrote for Muscle Mustangs and Fast Forwards, and that rolled into, as a freelancer, that rolled into a job with 50 Mustang and Super Fords. I have to correct you because we were kissing cousins. You know what I'm saying? You can't stick me with that magazine forever. I'm sorry. It's not acceptable. Okay.
So all right. So
look at the banner. There's the banner right there. 50 Mustang and Super Fords.
So all right, so it's not the same thing then. Muscle Mustangs.
No, it's sort of juxtaposed, man. It's the same company owned both magazines.
Okay.
But internally we were oil and water. We did not mix. They were the other guys. So I started with the other guys and then got on the good team.
Right. So what is a day in the life of KJ like when you were writing or staff writing for these publications? Because I know that, first of all, there are not many brothers I think that are in the field,
right?
And I think that it's awesome that you pursued this thing, because it's not like you had a lot of other people that look like us doing it.
Right.
So I mean, what made you forge ahead and just like you created your own path, brother?
Well, that's really, man, it's a perseverance deal, man. It's one of those things where the opportunity came my way, and just doing anything in my power to not let that opportunity get away. I kind of always grind with the attitude that that monster is right behind me, and you just don't want him to snatch you up, because if he snatches you up and pulls you down, because that struggle for brothers, brothers and sisters, you know what I'm saying? Because that struggle is so difficult. If you get snatched down, that road back is sometimes, I don't want to put impossible on it, but it's just so difficult to make that road back. So I just try to stay. I've always tried to stay, a foot or 2 feet or 3 feet in front. That's what I like to say. But my day, in that space, and still in this current space as a content person in the truck group for Motortrend, it entails research. I'm into tech. I'm into the mechanics of engines and trucks and cars and that type of thing. So I have to put myself in the space of an enthusiast, because that's who we're communicating to, and think about what would I want to read? What would I want to know about? And then go about creating projects and executing projects and writing about those projects to, an audience that basically covers the world. So it's a matter of being informative and accurate, but compelling, so that someone wants to actually read what you're doing and read what you're saying.
Wow. That's a long way from just writing some compositions, brother.
Yeah. It is. And I mean, every once in a blue, man, I think about it. I don't think about it a lot, and I always try to position all of this as just doing what I do. Somehow, some way, man, I guess I got to be good at it, or that's what people think I am good at it. You know what I mean? And it's afforded me some really, really, really cool and great opportunities. So I'm thankful about that, man. But again, in the big picture, I don't take myself too far away from being another cat from around the way, man. That's who I am,
Well, another cat around the way that can build a Mustang. I'm talking about build one.
Yeah. But build with 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 the knowledge that I've acquired, and also I have to say build with assistance from some really great friends and associates and colleagues that I've made along the way as well. So
Right.
it's not all me, but it's also done through the network that I've created.
Yeah, because you've done some stuff that's pretty iconic and like just about interjected into popular culture to a degree. Because when you
Yeah,
have something that's showing up on a T-shirt,
yeah. I wish I was getting a royalty for that, but anyway,
wow. How,
that was
tell
pretty
me the story
crazy.
about that car there.
Well, that car there is the car that's actually behind me here in the garage. It's my 1986 Mustang Coupe. It's a supercharged 352 cubic inch engine, makes about 1,000 horsepower at the tires, 800 some odd foot pounds of torque. It's a beast. It's for all intents and purposes, performance wise, it's a beast, but it's very rare in that it's a Fox Mustang, and the Fox period was 79 to 93. It's a Fox era Mustang that's a coupe. It has a trunk. It's not the hatchback model, and it has T-tops. There were not many produced in this configuration, so I have a very rare car that I located online, and literally it was given to me, but it was in a state that wasn't what it is right now. We took it apart and down to nothing, and myself and my good friend Saul Gutierrez and several other people, the body shops and engine shops involved, put it together, and it became an award winner and a magazine car, and really quick on the drag strip. And then that shirt, which came about by way of my friend's wife, who found it. He's a Mustang guy, and
Uh-huh.
she bought him the shirt, and he sends me a text message saying, "Dude, your car is on a shirt." Yeah,
Wow.
that's pretty. That I concede is pretty crazy. That blew my mind, dude. I was like, I
Yeah.
had no clue. I had no idea that shirt was out there, but I do have one now.
Yeah, yeah, see, you get one in a fat man size because I sport it too, and it's interesting because I mean, yeah, you KJ Jones, you're like a one man brand that's being developed here. I mean, one day there could be the KJ Jones edition or something like that. You know what I mean?
Well, that would be cool, man. The way the space is moving, um, not just cars, but with trucks and such too, man. The way the space is moving, who knows how that's all gonna play. I wouldn't mind it, but I guess I've taken some kind of comfort or acceptance in being like a best kept secret. Really, I think with what you're doing here, that might change it somewhat.
Secret's coming out, bro. Secret's coming out. Sorry, we're blowing up your spot right now. Right now,
You are.
we're blowing up your spot. KJ Jones, man. So, all right. So now the thing is now is more trucks now, right?
Yes. Now I've been doing trucks now for the last 6 years. Got out of Mustang by way of the magazine 50 was shut down, and I was moved. I won't say they moved me. I got an opportunity, man, and I got to shout out my current boss, Sean Holman, who was a content director for the truck group. Sean, this is one of the things, man. I implore to young people, if you have a young people in your audience, it's important. Listen to me on this. You never know who's watching your moves, and who's watching what you do and taking notes. And that came to fruition with my current spot in the truck group, where Sean Holman, as someone who's worked at the company for about as long as I have, I've been there 17 years, and I think Sean is 18 or maybe 19, close to 20 years. But anyway, Sean and I, we were in two different spaces. I was in car and he was in truck, and we would see each other very occasionally at a company function or every once in a while in the office and just say hi or acknowledge each other.
Right.
But when an opening came about in the truck group to actually become the editor of Diesel Power. He assessed what had happened with 5.0 and my tenure with 5.0 and my history there, and offered me the opportunity to become Diesel Power's editor. Having not ever worked together or anything like that, he just thought that he had confidence in what I knew and confidence in my ability, and gave me that shot. And at the time, Diesel Power was the second largest magazine in our company under Motor Trend, as far as newsstand sales. So they gave me the keys to a pretty big truck, if you will. And I had to. It's a show and prove thing, man. Again, you got that monster behind you, bro. And if he snatches you, you're done.
Yeah, absolutely. So you've, with your affiliation with Motor Trend, okay, that start to see you, brother KJ, on TV doing some appearances and stuff. Because I mean, you're an expert on a lot of stuff. So in this Shift Talkers,
Mhm.
when they're bringing you on, so basically as a correspondent, asking you about what?
Shift Talkers is it's a I guess it's like a talk show type of program, similar to there's a show on ESPN, I guess it's sort of spun off from, where you have a bunch of subject matter experts
Right.
discussing sports. This is subject matter experts discussing all things automotive. And it's a lot of fun. It's really a cool show. And the host basically comes up with topics to discuss, and it's point counterpoint in a lot of ways. And it's for a score, for a cumulative score, and a winners declared and all that. So I've had a couple of shots at Shift Talkers, and it's really been cool. I dig that show.
Nice. So now the current show now that you're involved in, okay. Tell me about that.
Well, the current show we just wrapped 2 weeks ago now out in Tucson, Arizona. The current show is called the Hoopty World Championship. Um, it's a contest that pits 6 teams, 2-person teams, against each other in an automotive build and then race competition. Basically, they're given challenges where they have to configure their vehicles, be it a car. There was a truck in this one that we just wrapped, but they have to configure their vehicles based on a discipline of motorsports or racing that we put them to. The producers of the show put them up against, and that can be on the track, a road track, that can be in dirt, that can be a bunch of different scenarios basically, and they have to be able to take the same car and outfit it to traverse against these different tracks and conditions the best way they can. And it really is a really good, cool test of fabrication skills, ingenuity, and thought process, as well as driving and competing. It was a lot of fun, and I think that the people that watch it, once you see it, it's you're gonna dig it. Let's put it that way. You're gonna really dig it.
Hey man, this is starting. We're going to be seeing more KJ on TV. You know,
Well, that's if I guess that's up to the public. It's on the Motor Trend app. So if you don't have the Motor Trend app, get it. And I'll low key give you this information to catch a deal. There are like Father's Day deals and certain holidays where the price is a little bit lower. So get into the Motor Trend app that way. But no matter how you get it, just get it. We'll be on the Motor Trend app, and then later on this year at some point, it will also be on the Motor Trend channel, which is available through your direct TVs and your cable stations and such like that. So
right? Yeah, that's also, yeah. I was checking that out. So you're gonna be on TV. I mean, that's brother.
yeah, it's crazy, man. It's just crazy opportunity. Again, through all of this ride, man, it's just been about opportunity coming my way. It's been about people that I had no idea or checking me out,
Right.
and then extending, really cool opportunities to me. And it's, just in my better interest to try to take advantage of them, accept them, and then once I'm in it, just do the best I can do at it. You know what I mean? That's all I know. That's all I know, man.
Well, what I think is great is just, you doing what it is that you do, and just like you sent out a message to the younger people out there that they, that hey, somebody is could be watching you, so always do as somebody is watching you,
Correct.
and that's some great advice. What other advice would you give to someone that's wanting to get into journalism, with in the automotive field?
That's a great question. I think that pursue your passion, if be it through racing or through being in the garage. And if you are, in a writer or doing writing, just write about cars. Again, going back to high school, pardon me, going back to high school, when I wrote about cars, I did pretty well. You know what I mean? So as far as practice, just stay with it. Journals are also a good exercise for writing, and now everything is through a phone or a tablet or something like that. But just go back to the old school and literally freehand write stuff down. That helps the creative thought. I mean, that and writing rhymes. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So I would definitely suggest that they do something like that. And then there are also outlets like the Motor Press Guild. If you look up npg.org, the Motor Press Guild is probably the world's, if the country's, if not the world's largest collective. It's not a union per se, it's a guild of automotive journalists, of people that actually do this. So get involved with Motor Press Guild through internship, or there's a scholarship, I believe, that's being offered. So if you're in school, look into the MPG's scholarship if your school is eligible or in the running for getting that. There are a bunch of different ways that a young person, if they really want to get into this game, they can. And quite honestly, the game, dead ass, man, the game wants people of color desperately now. The
Yeah.
game has realized that for the longest time, it's just been KJ. You know what I mean? Or just been KJ and maybe a few other people that sadly, I don't even know. I do know some other black journalists in automotive. Don't get me wrong. I'm not the only one. I was the only person to have, I would say, an editor's position at a very major automotive publication. But
Right.
that's not to say there aren't other brothers, doing it or working in the space. But again, just
But when
pursue it.
you when you first became an editor for one of these major publications, at that time, did you know of any others?
No, I did not. I did not. And that was something that's, been brought up. It's the elephant in the room, man. You can't hide from it. You know what I'm saying? It's something that's very well known, and it's something that I guess I've always moved in a proud manner with that responsibility. You know what I mean? And with that position, I am who I am, and that doesn't change because my status is in a field that there are more non-blacks than there are blacks. You know what I'm saying? I'm still a
Right.
proud black man, and I got to do as I know and what I do. But yeah, for a time, I stood alone and somewhat still do as far as a hierarchy goes. There's definitely a concern now to make those numbers different, and I hope that I'll do what I can do to let that happen. But I also hope that once I'm done with this, there will be more of a I guess level playing field. I don't know. I don't want to position that wrong, but just a
Right.
difference is made.
Yeah, yeah, because the we have to shatter that the perception. The perception is just that black folks don't do this, or black
Well,
folks.
that's it. That was the launch. That's the exact perception.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's just like I look at it just like with me. Years ago, I started doing trivia. Like hosting trivia nights, and people was looking at me like, that's what white people do. But now, I'm looking at like the Upshaws. on the TV there.
Right,
And
right.
that was like the big thing, is that she
Hey,
goes and does, and I was like, yes,
exactly,
we need more of that.
exactly,
Like black people do trivia too. Black
man.
people, black people are smart, and yes, black people are nerds. Like my man over here. He's
Wow,
a car nerd. You know what I'm saying? And it's beautiful. It's like, yeah, because you know your stuff. You know your stuff, and it's it just shows that, hey, we can be whatever it is that we want to be.
absolutely. There's no doubt about that, man. And in my space, especially racing, I'm proud to say that while it isn't, talked about a lot, black champions in racing, in auto racing, Antron Brown in drag racing, Lewis Hamilton, multi-time Formula One champion. You know what I mean? Bubba Stewart in motocross. And the list literally does go on in some of even the lower levels. And not to say that the major sound horn has to go off for them, but just acknowledge that there are people of color, brothers of color, and even sisters that race and that are mechanics and all that kind of thing that are, point blank, as equal or better than any other counterpart out there. So there's no reason why that should be squelched or not understood or not communicated about.
KJ Jones, my man. I have to figure out some ways to invite you back and do some more segments with you, man, because it's I didn't even know how much into the journalism you started out wanting to get into radio. I mean, you can still do radio over here, brother.
Yeah. I guess you can give me a slot. I like to think that I could still do it. Radio is still music is still a strong passion. I got my Spice Rack, and the Spice Rack basically has music that goes back to when we were little, all the way to present.
Oh yeah. Because I check out your Facebook, and you be like jamming, jamming sometimes, So you can always stream us too. But I see you be playing the old school.
Yes, sir. Yes,
No
sir.
doubt, it reminds me of the park in Elmsford when Jimmy Ace used to come.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I used to
Yes.
Jimmy Ace come out and play in the park, and I'd be standing there online, just like, yo, can I get on the mic? You got to be humble here with him and Al and a few of the big DJs in our old neighborhoods.
Wow.
Is it okay if I
Let me rock. Let me rock. Let the doc rock one time.
Oh man,
Yes, sir.
KJ. All right, and hey, the name of the show is Hoopty. What is it?
It is the Hoopty World Championship. HWC, Hoopty World Championship. Again, you find it on the Motor Trend app, and eventually on the Motor Trend channel on your cable outlet or Direct TV or Fios or whatever you look at. But Motor Trend app first and foremost, and also Shift Talkers, and also shout out to pretty much all of Motor Trend's original content, because there's some really good shows out there that anybody that has any type of an auto enthusiasm, I think would enjoy. So it's worth the couple of dollars to subscribe.
I want to thank you for blessing me right here on the spotlight, and hey, we're gonna keep you around, brother KJ, and when the show actually really is available, okay, make sure that you let me know,
Will
okay,
do. Will do.
because we'll double back and we'll make sure that we tell all the listeners to tune in, okay.
Thanks, Doc. Thank
All
you
right.
very much, Doc P.
Well, thank you, and I want to thank everybody. I want to thank all the people out there for listening and for watching. This has been the Spotlight right here on WSME SM Enlightenment Radio. And one last thing: is there any you have any social media handles or websites or anything like that you want to share? If people want to follow your moves a little bit more.
Yeah, you can follow me on the truck side. If you're into trucks, you want truck information, trucktrend.com. That's one word, TRUCKTREND.com. Also available through motortrend.com. On the social side of things, Big Cage, BIGGKAJE on Instagram. Big Cage on Instagram.
Nice. This has been an SM production, The Spotlight, right here on WSMESM Enlightenment Radio. Stick around. We got more good stuff on the way. Peace and blessings. Have a great night.